Good evening, everybody. Sunday night, 10 p.m. It is the APAT show. Lee, we've got a lot of news to get through tonight, and we're not alone.
We are not alone. Well, we got to talk a little bit quietly because the guest tonight is recovering from a bit of a heavy night in London last night. But a warm welcome to Tom Bacon back on the show for 2023. Nice to see you, Tom. How are we doing?
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, not too bad. Slightly fragile, as you mentioned, but that's self-inflicted, so don't feel too sorry for me.
We're going to have to find out a little bit about why Tom is fragile. Lee, it can't just be a Saturday night. Not just a Saturday night. It's got to be. Was there an occasion, Tom? An occasion?
I was actually at the relegation six-pointer between West Ham and Everton.
Ah, okay.
Because one of my friends is an Everton fan, and another of my friends works for West Ham. So we went. He got us some tickets, and we were in the home end. So I was slightly worried that might have to kind of protect him from getting beaten up if he was a bit too vociferous in his support. But luckily, Everton gave him absolutely nothing to shout about. So there was no danger of that. So
interesting. Everton in trouble, right? And Frank Lampard's got to be just hanging on by his fingernails at the moment, I'd have thought.
They were pretty bad. And I don't really think Frank Lampard's very good anyway. I don't really rate him as a manager, but I don't really see how he's going to get out of it or how they're going to go anywhere with him as a manager, to be honest.
I tell you what, Tom, we've got an hour and a half maybe. We're going to spend some time talking about football tonight. There's a lot of stuff to cover off tonight, Lee, particularly the schedule, right? We're going to come on to that. Just give us a breakdown, Lee. Are we going to be talking about poker at all outside of the APAT schedule?
Well, we'll have a chat about what's going on in the world of poker at the moment, obviously, because it's been an interesting start to the year already. We'll find out whether what Tom's been playing so far in 2023, because I'm pretty sure he's probably been out and about, or certainly got some things planned. Obviously, the UKPC concluded last weekend. Cracking final table there that was on the DTD stream. Interesting watching that, and of course everyone's moved straight away over. So we were talking last week about Adam having a decent cash in the high roller, and of course, and he's now one of the Platinum Pass guys that's now over in the Caribbean with PokerStars over there this week. So the juggernaut of live poker is moving on, and before we know it, we're going to crash straight into our first event of the year, which is about 4 weeks away now.
It's not far away. It is going to be on top of us very, very shortly. Dan is out there, good old Dan Williams, and he says, let's talk about structures.
Well, we can also talk a bit about structures, but do you know what? I had about 3 or 4 people comment last week. We briefly touched on structures and then went, all right, that's the end of the show. Anyway, we'll see you all next week. So maybe we will have a little bit of a chat about, because I know for one fact, Tom has a view on structures, plays quite a lot of live games and tournaments, and knows his way around a decent poker structure. So we can have a bit of a chat about that, because it has been discussed in the Facebook group in the past couple of weeks. So and obviously we've Tom Brady has got the first sort of schedule up for the team event with the side events for that as well, with the structures as well. So people can see what's up for grabs with those events going live, I think, via Lux and Pay from this week, I think. So.
There was I do recall, I can't name any names, but I do recall seeing something on the Facebook group, APAT main events running a 20-minute structure. Can we confirm that that's not happening?
That's very much not happening. We have got a few things. So there are some slight tweaks, for example. So I think with some of the day one A, day 1Bs on a Friday night and a Saturday afternoon, the Friday night one might well be like a 5-minute lighter clock.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a 5-minute clock, Lee.
No.
I thought you were going to get us in all sorts of bother there.
But that's simply to try and fit into a Friday night schedule where you're not playing till 4 a.m, and we're expecting dealers to then somehow get back in, for 1 o'clock in the afternoon the following day. So there are reasons why we've had to make slight adjustments. Players have still got a choice in what they want to do. If they want to play the absolute full clock, then they play on the Saturday. If they're quite comfortable playing on the Friday night, it might be 5 minutes off per level.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, for a day one, it's not going to make a massive difference to the way that that particular one will play. It's no different really than if you decided to play an online day one, where the clock is massively reduced, obviously because you're getting through more hands online, so it does compensate for that. But they will play slightly different. But we're putting it out there. It's up front. We're honest. This is what it is. We're not trying to hide anything. And from that, people can make their make the decisions and go with it.
Mr. Haycock's out there. Evening TB. So Tom, hope you enjoyed your side at West Ham ahead of the main event next Saturday. You're going to Walsall next Saturday, is that? I mean,
yes.
Dear.
Been inducted into the Walsall Ultras for Leicester in the FA Cup.
Are you bringing your own comb? What do ultras in Walsall carry around?
I don't know. You'll have
Flares.
to.
But I'm assuming. Flares. Yeah, but I'm assuming that FA Cup game will be sold out at the Poundland Arena.
I think, I know the tickets went on sale at 9 a.m. the other day, and Paul sent me a screenshot of the stand that we're in, the availability a couple of hours later, and it was pretty much all gone. And plus, you expect a full away allocation as well for a team as big as Leicester and as local. So and
interestingly, Walsall, having a decent go of it this season. Not a bad outfit. Leicester, well, a proper hit and miss. I mean, there is the possibility of an upset there, isn't
I
there?
would have thought so.
Yeah, definitely. There, and Leicester have been kind of unconvincing in recent weeks, and probably don't really need the FA Cup as a distraction. So I don't know how seriously they'll take it. So kind of a free hit for Walsall, really.
It's a fair call. Gaz says he thinks you're going to be singing by halftime. We'll have to wait and see.
I wouldn't go that far.
that might be pushing it a little bit, to be honest. Yeah. Although it might be the right thing. It could be lucky. I mean, I went to see Southampton versus Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup before Christmas with JP. Obviously, he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so it wasn't the right result for his side. But clearly, that's put Southampton on a decent run, and of course, they've got a two-leg cup semi-final now, starting midweek. Bottom of the Premier League at the moment.
Well, that's the thing, So there is kind of a trade-off at some point where how useful is it to be in the cup? If
who is it? Who was it? Middlesbrough that got to both cup finals one year and got relegated in the same year.
97 maybe.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you've got to go. Were the cup runs really any use to you? I'm not.
And then
sure.
Wigan won the FA Cup.
That's right.
And got relegated, didn't they?
Yeah. But it's historical, right? I mean, you don't want to be dropping points in the league, but Wigan will always be able to say they won the FA Cup. Would they be able to say, well, we were in the Premier League for an extra season? I mean, yes, there's a short-term huge gain, of course, but it's historical, right?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it depends. I don't know. I guess it depends how much you value the singular cup day out compared to, like we've seen teams like Portsmouth won the FA Cup in 2008, but then they're now in League One, and then it's kind of the same for Wigan. I guess Wigan are now in the Championship now, I think.
Back up,
so I suppose that's probably when you've had a stint in the Premiership as a smaller club, you've kind of done that, and maybe you're not expecting to be established as a permanent Premier League.
Maybe we'll
having a one-off cup run is probably a nice bonus to that, I suppose.
Yeah. Maybe when Natalie's next on the show, we'll ask her. So, would you forego promotion?
No, hell no,
for winning the FA Cup. Yeah, which one do you want?
I think we can give you the answer to that one without having Natalie here. I doubt very much that she would. So I think we're agreed that it depends on where the club is, and that might even be where they are. If you're mid-table Premier League and fairly secure, you're not going down, you're also not fighting for Europe, then a cup run is always going to be welcome.
Really? Are we honestly turning this on to talk about Liverpool already?
Oh, shut up. What you like? Steve 40's not even out there and you've already started on me. Ha! Yeah, to be honest, Lee, I'll snap your hand off a mid-table at this point. It's not great. It's not great. We're going to be ahead of Everton, though. Can I say that?
I would be. You were going to have a very bad second half of the season if you're not ahead of Everton.
I know. I think we're fairly safe there. I tell you what was really interesting. We're all familiar with the. Is this still called the Rico? in Coventry?
No, it's
CVS Arena.
it's the Coventry Building Society.
Very, very nice. Hopefully
absolutely,
that paid some salaries for somebody. But we're obviously familiar with the place from all of the APAT games that have been played up there. I had a situation where I was in the stadium at about 2 a.m. On one APAT visit because the rooms were all sort of left open. But anyway, Wrexham won their third round FA Cup tie against Coventry there, 2 weeks ago? It turned out to be a 4-3 cracker. They brought thousands of fans. So even though they're still going for promotion, they're top of the non-league. What do we call it down there? The conference? Is it the conference?
National League.
The National League it is now. Christ, I'm about 10 years out of date. But the magic of the cup, right? So even though it was against Coventry, which wouldn't be too attractive to too many football fans, they still brought thousands of fans over there, and it was a cracking game. So and they've got, I think, a home tie in the fourth round coming up as well, maybe against Sheffield United or somebody like that. In any event, magic of the cup. Leigh United. Let's talk about United for a minute. A little bit unlucky today, or not? I didn't see the game.
Not unlucky in the slightest.
Really?
No.
So,
Definitely not. The better team won, and if we'd have nicked a point, it probably would have been it would have been a hard fought point. If we could have held out, it would have been a hard fought point. You've taken it, but to be honest, for the whole second half, Arsenal dominated. Our goal was completely. It was a bit of a fluke of our second goal. First goal, I mean, we took the lead very, very well. Rashford's finish was superb. He's absolutely on fire at the moment. Then Arsenal, came back. Saka scored an absolute worldie. They were saying, well, we should have got closer to him, but actually he was quite a distance out. To put it where he put it was incredibly good. But Arsenal were absolutely superb. They are the proper real deal. This season, as far as I'm concerned, but you're not going to hear me complaining. So we're now in that most teams are either 19 or 20 games of the season, so you're pretty much at the halfway stage. If you'd have said to me after 2 games in, United would be on 39 points, we'd be 10 ahead of Liverpool, 10 ahead of Chelsea, only 6 off Man City. I'd have absolutely snapped your arm off for that. The Ronaldo thing was sorted. And we're actually, it's enjoyable watching a United game for 90. I mean, the game this afternoon was cracking, proper old school Arsenal versus Man United, going at it. The crowd were really up, and normally Arsenal, get a bit of stick for the crowd being pretty quiet, properly behind their team at the moment. And you just got to say hats off to them. They're doing it the right way. He's rejuvenated so many players in that Arsenal team. Xhaka is looking like just a completely different player. He's got the youngsters in that are playing really, really well. Odegaard is just like a different level. Parties coming in and holding the midfield together. So Arsenal looking great, and they thoroughly deserve the 3 points today. I don't think.
I tell you, they very closely missed out on Mudryk, the Ukrainian player who has just signed for Chelsea. I saw 15 or 20 minutes of him against Liverpool on Saturday morning. Crikey, he looked good. He has got pace to burn. An Arjen Robben type player, wide forward, looks like he's hit the ground running.
Well, Chelsea are signing everybody left, right, and centre at the moment, so it's difficult. I mean, the other thing, on the United thing, just the final thing to say on it, we're 20 games in. We've played Arsenal twice. We've played Man City twice. So the 2 teams that are kind of flying away with this league, we're done with them for the season. United, we've won 1, lost 1 against them both. I'm quite comfortable with that, really, from that point of view. I mean, we've lost 5 games this season. So we've lost to Arsenal, we've lost to City, we lost the opening 2 games to Brentford and Brighton, and obviously we lost to your lot. Somehow, Tom, I'm not quite sure. You turned up and played a game of football.
The Emery effect.
Was that one of the last games before the World Cup? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I think it was Emery's, maybe his first game, or
I think it might have been Emery's first game. Yeah, and you absolutely murdered us that day. I mean, we again, right result. We didn't deserve anything out of that game whatsoever. We didn't turn up at all, and you were properly on it. From a United point of view, I'm looking going, well, okay, don't worry about Arsenal, Man City. We're not people talking about us being in the title. It's not a title challenge. If we could lock up a top four, and we're 6 points clear. 6 points clear at the moment. I mean, the scary thing for the Premier League is, I'd be interested to know what your view, Tom, from a Villa's point of view with obviously the owners of your club and where you've got ambitions for wanting the club to get to. Those top four spots, if we're saying, Man City are locked every season for it, Newcastle with what they're going to spend, you kind of assume they're going to be as well. Arsenal, doing very well. Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Tottenham. I mean, West Ham were knocking on the door at one point and have had a shocker of a year. Those top four spaces are there's going to be big clubs who have going to spend some considerable sums of money that aren't even going to get close to that in a season. I mean, look how much Everton have spent since that owner's come in. It's $500 million on players, and they're currently scrapping at the relegation. I mean, the Premier League
it'll be a great squad for the Championship, though, Lee.
Yeah.
But he knew what he was doing.
But what's interested to know, Tom, what's your take on where Villa with the right, you've got a good manager in now. I think Gerrard was never really, it was probably too soon for him. Where would your ambitions be as a club?
I think the owners are very ambitious. But personally, I think it's, like you say, it's such high competition. There's so many good sides in the Premier League these days that it's almost unattainable to get kind of top four or even top six from a club like Villa, unless there's kind of consistent spending over a long period of 5 or 6 seasons. Having said that, Newcastle seem to be doing it now without. I mean, they have spent money. Obviously, they've got probably unlimited funds in the coming seasons, but they haven't spent a crazy amount, and they haven't bought players who are kind of big names. So I guess it's possible when you look at their perspective, but they are also able to financially prepare for the future of being able to attract a lot of big name players and make big signings.
Do you think it's going to become a case of the way to do it is to not be in Europe for a season and have a clear season where you can make that push? So has that benefited Newcastle? Is Arsenal being only in the Europa League this season and them not taking it massively seriously because those group games never are in the initials? You've got the games to play, but you can rotate your squad. Does that give you a benefit? Whereas Champions League, you can't afford to slip up.
I think I honestly think Arsenal will probably should just not try not to win in those Europa League games from now on, because I don't think being in the Europa League is particularly helpful for them. But it probably is a big. I mean, that's the thing. It's probably a real help to not have European football, so that you are fresh and you can concentrate on the league, because you have so many games these days and especially now that there's you can have more subs, you can use 5 subs in a game. The teams with the bigger squads are always going to have an advantage, and that's always going to be the teams that have more money.
I think it benefited Leicester the year they won it. I really feel that was of benefit to them, that they had that clear slate to not worry about that in the latter stages.
Yeah, and that's why I think Arsenal would benefit from just going out of the Europa League in the next round. Whoever they're playing, just play the reserves and put up a plucky fight and bow out.
Well, as a United fan, I mean, we've got a playoff game against Barcelona, 2 legs coming up. We've got a bizarre run of games now. We play 3 cup games next, so we don't play another Premier League game. So we've got 3 cup games to play, and then
you've got is that 2 legs of the semi?
Yeah, so 2 legs against Forest, and then we've got Reading in the cup. So Forest is this Wednesday. Then we've got Reading in the cup on Saturday night at like 8 o'clock, which is obviously the time every football fan wants to watch a game of football. And then we've got Forest again the following week. And then our February run, I think we play 8 games in February.
Yeah.
6 of them are at home.
Jesus.
That's nice.
It's just again an incredibly insane run, which with the last of those, if we make the Carabao Cup final, will get postponed, as I think Brentford is our last game on Sunday the 26th. And we play Barcelona on the Thursday before the Carabao Cup final on the Sunday.
That's not that's the kind of game you don't really need. I guess for United, you're not bothered about this competition really.
Well, I think you've got to look at the Europa League and go, well, actually, is top 4 more attainable for us, and run in the domestic cups? Obviously, we'll go for everything, but as has already been proven, we did miss, some players today, and it makes a massive, difference to our side. We're not yet got a squad that's deep enough to be able to run on all fronts. It just isn't there at the moment.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how I think the next month will be a good indicator of where United are. But it's interesting what you're saying, Tom, about Villa's ambitions, that even a top six, you think, to get there is going to take. And when you say 4 or 5 years, you're talking like spending 100 million each summer on bringing in one or two of the 40, 50 million type players to build that squad.
Yeah, I mean, well, you look at when we sold Grealish, we reinvested that money in Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, and Buendia, and we've just sold Ings obviously for I think like a £15 million loss or something. So even when you buy these players for decent amounts of money, there's no guarantee that that's going to, that they're going to significantly improve your team. And like Villa are nowhere near even being kind of a staple, top 8 team really, let alone challenging for Europe. So I think it's the kind of thing where you have to be able to gradually improve your squad over a period of seasons. I think Newcastle's the thing is, like, I think that's probably kind of a fluke. It's not the kind of thing where you're going to suddenly just rocket up and be like a fixture in the top 4. It's kind of a thing where you have to progressively improve year on year until you kind of establish yourself, which I think kind of Spurs have kind of done to an extent where they're not having a brilliant season now, but they did when they had all their kind of their best team in their best years, sort of like mid 2010s. They kind of just gradually progressed and did okay every year. I think that's the kind of aim for a club like Villa, or I guess whoever else is in that kind of mid-table looking to push up bracket.
Spurs is an interesting one, isn't it? Because at some point they are going to have to make a decision. Do they keep Kane basically for his career and carry on building a team around him, or at some point are they going to cash in on him for whatever? Because I mean, the chances are, if he was available in the summer, United might say, yeah, do you know what? We'll get another 3 or 4 years, decent years out of him. We're prepared to pay you, maybe 60, 70 million, something like that for him. I don't think he's going to go for the 100 million price bracket. But is that then what does Spurs then do? What does 70 million get you these days in the way of a striker? Because everyone's looking for a striker, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think, I suppose, have just announced, I think, that Conte's leaving at the end of the season, haven't they?
Oh, really?
I think
is that definite?
I think
really?
I
hadn't heard that.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what has been said, but I think that is let me just see if I can find out, so I'm not making it up.
Well,
but obviously that is a big that's a big contention point for them at the moment. So that's kind of the kind of thing that has to get resolved. So I guess maybe Kane's future might depend on who's the manager and what the plan is for the club going forward.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to hope that he's got to hope Gareth Southgate takes it, because then he'll never get dropped. I mean, that's the way you've got to look at it. Yeah, so.
But listen, if you were a Harry Kane, and we've had this discussion before, at a point you've just got to move. You've got to make the decision, right? You've given Spurs a lot of time. You can't start again with another manager, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends who comes in, though. I don't really know who would be. I don't know who would be in there.
I guess it depends what Kane's ambitions are, because he has the potential to go through his entire career without winning a single trophy.
Yeah,
because I think I'm right in saying Spurs have not won anything at all, even one of the domestic cups during his time there. So, he could end up going through his entire career without winning a trophy, which I mean, it's close to a Shearer type thing. But obviously, Shearer won the Premier League with Blackburn.
Yeah.
But I don't think, other than that, did Shearer win anything else in his career?
I don't think so.
I don't think Newcastle won a cup. No, so pretty much, the all-time goal scorer in the Premier League, which Kane is going to, I think, is going to overtake that, isn't he? I'm not sure how many he's off now. Something maybe 30 goals off it, something like that. Yeah,
I think more than that. Sure, got 260, and I think Kane got 200 relatively recently, so maybe like 40 or 50.
Okay, so he's probably going to do that.
Like a couple of seasons.
He's going to do that if he stays in the Premier League. But he could end, if he's not with the right club, he could end up never
Which
I think he missed the boat with Man City, which I think for Man City worked out in their favour because they've ended up with Haaland, who's probably
far better.
the better deal for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, could Kane to Chelsea be a thing?
I can't see it. I think that the Spurs-Chelsea rivalry is probably that might stop him from doing that. I think United is more obvious because United is a club where it is a clear they're going in the right direction. It seems.
I wouldn't want Kane though. As a United fan, I wouldn't want Kane. I don't think he would fit the team.
You don't, I mean, you don't have like a. Do you have like a real number 9, kind of an established number 9 at the moment?
Oh, not really. Martial plays. Yeah, we've obviously signed.
Or Weghorst.
Weghorst as our who actually the past 2 games. And I said it last week on the show, and Des chuckled when I said it. Don't be surprised if Weghorst starts a lot of games between now and the end of the season. And do you know what? That guy runs and runs and runs. I mean, I don't think he can actually stick a ball in the back of the net. But I'll tell you what, from a press and breaking things down, for Rashford's goal today, he was buzzing around there and causing problems and making defenders wonder what was going on, and he created some of the space for that. So yeah, he's a proper team player. And you compare him to Ronaldo, who just wasn't anything like that. And I'd much rather have what we've now got. It's a better fit for me. I'd rather watch that.
Listen, Lee, we have Nick Miller's out there on YouTube, and he's got a very appropriate question. Is this show about poker or soccer? Well, Nick, we're sort of in our APAT down season, if you like. We're in our close season as far as the online events like that are concerned, our leaderboards. So, yeah, we, to be honest, we tend to talk about football a lot every week. Did you guys see the, I don't know if it was the Deloitte, but the money list, the revenue results, if you like?
I was going to say the one bit of good news for Liverpool this week.
I don't know if it is good news. I mean, they've earned a ton of revenue for the first time in a long time. They've earned more revenue than United. Liverpool finished 3rd, I think it was. Man City, because obviously Man City have supporters in every country of the land, and they've 12 betting sponsors and detail. Was it Real Madrid 2nd, Liverpool 3rd, and probably United then?
Yeah, United were 4th. Yeah. I think the difference between United and Liverpool was only about 10 million or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, the difference has been very significant. Over the last decade, 15, 20 years, been very significantly weighted towards United. Liverpool just aren't spending money, but there are a lot of rumors suggesting that the club might go to a Qatar buyer, which I'm not sure I feel massively comfortable with, but it could potentially change the way that they do business. We'll just have to wait and see. That could be another 3 or 4 months away, but it seems like there are discussions happening in the background.
I mean, the scary thing with it is how dominant the Premier League clubs are in that list now. It's absolutely insane, and you'd be surprised in some of the clubs that are on the list. You kind of just think, wow, they've I mean, West Ham. I mean, West Ham's attendances now. I mean, there was it 60 odd thousand there yesterday. I think it was, Tom. Yeah.
I can't remember how much it was, but it was pretty full, and it's a big stadium. I mean, there was obviously this is a pretty big game, so I imagine it's maybe a little bit more full than it usually is. But
well, to give you the idea, so on that Deloitte money list, West Ham are 15th.
Yeah.
It's pretty much they're in line with Inter Milan. They're more than AC Milan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Pretty
that quite surprised me, but I guess if they're getting in 60,000 most weeks into that stadium, then they can make that work.
But I mean, you look at the kind of players they've signed fairly recently. It's like someone like Lucas Paqueta, who's a Brazilian international. They signed from Lyon, I think, and that's the kind of player that would go to like one of the big Serie A teams. But they can't these days. They can't afford to. Yeah. Like the teams they're competing with are people like West Ham and Wolves and Everton. So yeah, they don't really have the Italian league just doesn't have the finances to compete
I think,
with the mid-table Premier League.
I think
teams.
11 of the top 20 Premier League clubs. Leeds United are in 18th. Which again seems absolutely crazy. Leicester, Leicester are in 17th. And so they're not even the clubs that. And you think, well, who else could be breaking into that? Newcastle are currently 20th at 202 million euros, compared to City, who are 730. So the gulf between the first and the 20th team is €500 million in income in a year. I mean, just goes to show those the real top teams there. The top 10 are absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah. Not good. All right, so Peter's arrived, Mr. Wigglesworth. Evening to you, sir. Let's talk, Lee, if we can, Tom, about the APAT schedule. So I guess some of the highlights for me was a return to Grosvenor venues, exciting. A return to Wales, and again, another operator down there. Those were the big ones. I think obviously we'd known about the Dustal Dawn events at the start of the season, and of course then, perhaps the other big headline in overseas events is our debut at the Easter Irish Open Festival, which I think is huge for APAT, right? So what have you taken from it, Lee?
Well, first of all, let's start. For anybody that's missed it, we announced it on Thursday night. Yeah. Tom got it out on the Facebook group, and it's on Twitter as well, and the website's all updated. So we'd already announced the 4 Dustal Dawn dates for next year, which is pretty much like one a quarter. So we're sort of there every 3 months with the UK Team Championship, the UK Championship, the World Champs in August, and then the Poker Squads live later on in the year. So then we got another 8 events out on Thursday. So we're back to Aspers in London for the UK and Irish Championship in March. That got 400 odd runners last year when we were in London. Absolutely sold out on the Friday and the Saturday for the day ones. And the place is absolutely buzzing for the weekend. So strongly recommend getting there if you can. Yeah, really looking forward to the working with the Irish Open. We're going to be there on the Wednesday and the Thursday of that event. A little bit higher buy-in there, but it kind of has to fit in with what they're doing schedule wise. But we're looking forward to put the Irish champs in there. Great to be back, as you say, in the Grosvenors, back in Blackpool and up in Edinburgh. Looking forward to going back and doing that, and going back to Le Croupes in Cardiff, which is nice. I think my real thing that I'm looking forward to, I guess, I'm loving what we're doing with the PLO at the moment. So we're putting a PLO championship event on a Sunday, medal event, sort of around the 120 buy-in, as deep a structure as we can make it. So we're trying to get them sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock starts, which means we'll get plenty of play in it, which I know for a lot of players is something that they'll look forward to. So they might have a go at the main event. If they don't make the day 2, then they've got something quite meaty to get stuck into on a Sunday. I guess, Tom, some of those with the because we've got PLO. I think we've got a PLO 456 at the team event. Those kind of events, Tom, I guess we're right up your street.
Yeah, I do. I have to say I don't really study a lot of PLO, so I don't really know what I'm doing in it. But I quite enjoy. It's quite a nice break from as a side event, especially when if you've bust the main, you want something that's a bit more fun. You get a lot more cards, you make more hands, more enjoyable all round. I think a bit more of a gambly, enjoyable event. But obviously there are some big PLO fans in APAT as well, so it's nice to have a kind of a more prestigious, a medal version of that rather than just being a kind of small side event.
Yeah, no, it should be good. So it's nice going back to some venues that we haven't been to for a good while, but people will be very familiar with from an APAT point of view. But I say over in Ireland, that's a new venue for us for the Irish at the Royal Dublin Society, which is a stunning building in the centre of Dublin. So looking forward to that one. That should be quite good. And seeing a couple of questions in on the chat asking about online in general. So Mr. Wigglesworth asking is the online leaderboards still active? They're not active at the moment. We're taking a break on those. You can still play the games on Party if you wanted to, but hopefully we're going to have an announcement out in the next next couple of weeks about what the plan is for that. And Dan Williams has asked, they're going to be online day ones for the stops. Hopefully we'll be able to put some online day ones up again once we've got announced who are her partners going to be online for season 16 for 2023. Then we'll let you know more details on that. But we're going to try, if possible, to try and offer an online day one alternative for people if they fancy trying to do that for the events. Obviously, for the team event coming up, the first one. That's not relevant because captains have all bought in their teams already in advance, and Tom will be repping for the reigning champions, the APAT show team. Looking forward to that. I think we've got a slight change around on the roster, but you and I still didn't make the team, Des. I don't know what happened. I'm really not quite sure. Yeah.
Has anyone ever retained the championship?
There's been multiple winners. I don't think anyone's done back-to-back years, but there have been. I think the Gambling Network Forum have certainly won it twice. And you could argue they were kind of also linked with Bristol and Southwest Poker Meetup, but the first team that ever won it. So they try and claim, I think one or two of them might have been on all three teams. So they try and claim that technically that's a three, but that's probably pushing it a little bit. I mean, the APAT team have won it back in Manchester season 3, maybe.
You were the captain, Lee, right? 2010 was it? 2009, I want to say.
I may well have captained that side. Yes, that may well have been me. But so you could argue APAT have won it twice as well, maybe. But it is our own comp. So I'd like to think we can put a half decent side together there. Yeah. So Dan confirming, Gambling Network Forum back to back. And as Paul says in the chat, never say never.
Absolutely, they're going for it.
Yeah, no, it should be good. So obviously we're overseas as well for 2023. So we're going to be a couple of stops in Malta. Obviously we've mentioned Dublin as well. We're going to be back over in Ash again for the German Championships, which is on the kind of the Cheshire Czech and German border. So it's kind of it splits between the two. And hopefully we've got a couple of, we've still got a few other irons in the fire, so to speak, about some other events. So we're working really, really hard to try and get an event out with the guys out in Belgium again, because it's been far too long that we've managed to do that. And I say one or two other conversations are still going on as well. So we may try and squeeze in a few more. But the trouble is once you've got that schedule, running there from sort of the end of February till the middle of November, there's you start running out of weekends to try and fit too much more in with what is already a really busy poker schedule in general. I mean, what have you already been playing so far, Tom, in the first few weeks of 23?
I was at the UK PC Dust Till Dawn. So I played the warm-up event, which is kind of like a mini main version, and managed to cash in that, and then played the main event. Only had one, but I could only play it on the Sunday, and unsuccessful there. But a good event, really enjoyed it. So yeah, DTD seem to have big plans. I know they've got they're getting a new feature table. I think the one they have now is not actually they're getting a better one. And they've got a kind of a fenced off area for like a TV table, which is quite cool. And then I also played I was in the National League playoff for Grosvenor, where I think the top 70 or so outside of the people who are at the top of the leaderboard and get automatic packages, there's another top 72 behind that go to a playoff to play off for 5k packages, which I got nowhere near, unfortunately. So that's been my poker so far, and I'll be playing the 25-50 at Coventry at the Ricoh/CBS arena this weekend.
Nice. Okay. And how are you finding the general numbers in the tournaments that you're playing in, Tom?
I mean, they've been really big. I think it doesn't seem like it's showing any signs of slowing down. Kind of ever since poker came back, kind of seriously post lockdowns, it's been all of the guarantees just seem to have been smashed. I was not sure if the DTD one would get there because they didn't have a huge amount of day ones, and it was only one re-entry per flight. but they did. I think they made like 540 or something.
Yeah, they comfortably got there in the end.
So yeah,
yeah,
it was pretty comfortable in the end. But yeah, and then all of the Grosvenor ones. I mean, the Grosvenor, like the 2525s and the G400s last year and the deep stacks all made way more than the guarantee pretty much all the time. So that they've now changed some of them to 2550s where they guarantee 50k instead of 25k. Because I mean, they were getting like 3 times the guarantee a lot of the time already.
And of course, guarantees aren't something that we've ever done, Lee, to any great degree. But of course, with Dust Till Dawn, they love to put a guarantee on an event at Dust Till Dawn. So, you know, some of our events this season at Dust Till Dawn do attract very decent guarantees. And I can only see them going up because, like the market generally, I think our numbers have been really smashing over the last year. And I think we can expect 23 to be a big year for us too, all being well.
Yeah, I mean, no, we spoke. You know, we spoke to Dust Till Dawn about the UK championship in May, and they said, well, you know, we'd like to put a guarantee on. So Des and I had a quick chat about it. We said, well, for 500 quid, should we? We'll go for 500 quid. That seems reasonable.
Well, we'll go 50-50 on 500, Rob.
Yeah. And they decided they wanted to do 50,000. So we just went, well,
yeah, all right then.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. We're comfortable. So yeah, so you know, and that's a joint thing between us and the venue. There we're very much supporting them, that they feel that works for Dust Till Dawn. So we will do it. And I know we've done it in the past. A couple of I think when we were out in Vienna for the Worlds. Yeah. A few years back, the venue wanted to do that, and we're always supportive of that. We're obviously we get nervous, but we're supportive of it. In the reasons why. It
was the same. I remember. I think our first guaranteed event was with the ISPT at Wembley, Lee, when we appeared on the pitch, and we guaranteed them we'd turn up, and we did, Lee. Yeah. We turned up.
Yeah, that was enough, to be honest. That was
they snapped our hands off for that one.
Couldn't have asked for any more. But so it's going to be a cracking year, and with everything that's already going on from an APAT point of view, and once we can get an online schedule out as well, we're going to have a full online schedule with medal events every month as well. Out for you guys as well, so there's going to be loads to look forward to, and we'll try and get some generic satellites in there as well, because I know people like to get in on the cheap if they can. It's still always a good thing to do. Although I find that's less. How do you find that these days, Tom? I find satellites have become less of a thing just in general. I was looking at the Irish Open ones, and I think they're using. Interestingly, the Irish Open are using a couple of different online providers for their online satellites. And that's becoming more of a thing now as well, that people seem to be more collaborative working when it comes to events.
Yeah, I guess for the events where you have a big guarantee, you kind of have to have a lot of satellites, because that's quite a big part of making sure you make the amount of money you need to and getting the amount of runners. I play, like, not loads, but I play quite a reasonable amount of the Grosvenor ones to try and get into the 25-25s or deep stacks or GUKPT sometimes, and they've changed their, rather than winning a ticket, you just win X amount of tournament money, and you can use that kind of break it down as you want. So they've kind of got that they'll do the amount for the tournament coming up. So if they've got a 1250 buy-in GUKPT, they'll have a satellite that wins you 1250 in tournament tokens, but you don't have to use it for that. You can break it down and play 4 smaller events if you want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of direction they're going. I mean, I think for the UKPC there were GG satellites, and they did kind of like the step ones where there was like a £1 satellite to get into a £20, and then etc. etc. And like you say, the Irish Open, I think they're on Paddy Power, I want to say, and maybe
I think and Stars. I think Stars and
Stars
Paddy.
as well. Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess it's the bigger ones. Like they need to.
Yeah. And I still like the ability that you can win a package, and then you see less of the packages for traveling. But I think Sunday night on Stars for the Irish Open, you can play. I think it's like €100 buy-in to win a 1,200 or 1,500 package or something like that, and gives you a bit of travel money. And I do quite like that as an option as well, rather than just a ticket, because things are expensive these days. It isn't cheap. We're very aware that even rocking up for an APAT event These days, hotel prices have gone up and travel's gone up. It's not cheap for people to go and have a social weekend at an APAT event.
Particularly with those 12-minute levels and the 5,000 chip starting stack. I mean, you're just there and you're gone.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm gone, Lee. I'm gone. But
I
that's
don't know if you've seen the festival that's coming up at Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. We've been working with those guys, and we're going to help. We're going to help support that a little bit for them, because they've got a good some good events on there.
Yeah,
but are they paying, Lee? Are they paying? Are they paying big money, Lee?
It's collaborative working. Des,
tell them about the ISPT, right? Tell them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think they've got satellites where you win 2 bullets in the main event, which is which I haven't seen before, which is quite an interesting twist.
Yeah, so it's that'll be interesting. But it's nice. I think it's nice to do. It's something a little bit different, and it's a way to do it. But I mean, talking on structures, obviously there has been discussion about that. I mean, what I would say is the structures for the UK Team Championship coming up are up on the website. We're running at a 30-minute clock on day 1 and a 40-minute clock on day 2. I think we start with 200 bigs. I think I want to say.
Sorry, Lee, you're trying to trick us. You're trying to trick us there, are you? How many 30s can you get into 20? What's?
No.
Is there a footnote? Is there anything else that we should be telling the guys?
But it's sensible. So it's a 30-minute clock. It's a 100k starting stack. You start with 200 big blinds. Starts at 2:00 in the afternoon and will run till roughly about 10 o'clock at night. So again, you're not playing 14, 15 hours a day. And then the clock then goes to 40 minutes on the Sunday when the points are all in for those remaining players. So we've got a big field to get through. Obviously, the more players sat down means we've got to do that. And people then start looking at the levels. I mean, we joked when this was being discussed on the Facebook group again about back in the early seasons of APAT, the amount of debates on the forum about whether the 150-300 level should be included or not in the structure, and we know people care about this, but obviously it's very easy to just make a judgment based on the clock is this, and there is so many other things that you need to take into account when looking at this. And sometimes you've actually got to play it, because we've had a massive change around with our structures last year, and Tom put a lot of effort into looking at our structures, obviously with big blind antes coming in and how we work our structures. And the feedback we got from the first one we ran in London last year was really positive. People were a bit skeptical when they first saw it, and we said, well, just play it and see how you get on. And I don't recall anybody coming back and saying, now that was rubbish. So sometimes you've just got to go and play it and see how it plays first. And we're always happy to listen to what people's views are on these things.
I played the one in Manchester last year, and that was probably the best structured tournament I played the whole year, I would say. Maybe aside from GUKPT main, which I think is a structure you can't really replicate, and it's on a much huger buy-in compared to the average APAT buy-in. But yeah, Manchester was really, there was a blind rollback, I think, as the day 1 online finished quite early. So the blinds were rolled back, the stacks were pretty deep, and I think it was a 40-minute clock throughout. And it was just I didn't ever feel like the structure got bad or the stacks were too shallow. So that was really good.
I think you've nailed it there. When we obviously people have compared it and said, well, if Grosvenor can do that with the GUKPT, well, yes, but they're what's the GUKPT buy-in? 1,000 plus? Is it 100?
Yeah. It's the smallest one is 1K. It's 900 plus 100, and then there are like 1,100 plus 150 or something, or it might be like 1,180 plus something.
Yeah. So ultimately, obviously, it all comes down to the cost, the registration fee, which is what covers the costs for the venue and the dealers and all that kind of thing. And as much as you'd love to replicate that, we couldn't replicate that at an APAT price point, because we'd have to be charging £50 reg fee or something like that to actually be able to justify. So there's always got to be a balance with any of this. And what we will always do is, whenever we're talking to the venues, we will push it as far as we possibly can. We've always, from day one, always had the players' interests, at heart with anything that we do, and we'll always try and get the structure as good as we possibly can, within the reasonable grounds. I mean, I was talking to somebody about the PLO the other day and saying, look, it starts, I think the one of the team events at 1 o'clock start, I think it is on the Sunday. So we'd hope that there'll be a good 10 hours play in that PLO. But it's going to be a 1-day comp. It has to finish at the end of Sunday night. There's no other way to look at it. That's what it's got to be. So the structures have to be built to work within the parameters we've got. So.
Absolutely, can say no more than that. Lee, just on the sort of the value front, we put out tonight the 4th video in our breakthrough poker coaching with Nick Wealthall. So it's on the APAT YouTube site. It's on our Twitch poker site. I tend to put links up in the Facebook group as well. And I recommend anyone who isn't tremendously experienced in tournament poker, whatever, to go through those videos. They're classroom style. Nick writes stuff on a board, and he spends 25 to 30 minutes talking you through very specific lessons. And there's a wealth of content. It goes on for like a couple of 100 hours. So just follow it as it's going along. There's absolutely no charge. It's great stuff. I've spoken to a few people who've done this, and they've really enjoyed it. So that is going out every Sunday evening on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch poker channel. Look out for more details.
All I would add is this is training content that used to a few years ago, Nick was charging monthly for, and people were paying monthly for to get this. And if basically you've got an APAT membership, you can just get that for free, and you can start using them. And if you just dip into it once a week and watch the video for 45 minutes, pick up a couple of little bits of tidbits of info or ideas or whatever, and then carry on playing your game gradually over time.
Happy days.
You should you'll find stuff that will improve what you're doing for sure. So well worth doing. If you haven't registered for an APAT account, just go on the website and click the join today. All we need is your name and an email address, so we know we've got you in the database, and then you'll be good to go. We promise we don't spam very often with emails, but we'll just inform you when we've got things to let you know about as far as events go. Most of our events will sell out if you're new to APAT, and the live events we've already been talking about for this year, which we've already got a dozen events that are confirmed on the website now. These events will sell out. So wherever we go, you will need to kind of think about buying in advance. And if you want to do that, Lux on Pay is going to be our preferred payment partner for the year, where they've got a deal with the venue and is set up. So if you haven't got a Lux on Pay account yet, again, you can get a link through to that on the website. We don't earn anything from it whatsoever, but there's a link there and details on how you do that. It's worth just getting it done and getting it verified in advance, because then you'll be good to go. And the little pain and the tricky bit is just getting it set up. Once you're set up, then it's an absolute breeze to use. It's just an app on your phone, and when you want to buy into something, you just click on the venue and send funds, and it's done, and that you're bought in. Don't need to do anything else.
Lee, flipping it ever so slightly from a tech type product to something that's just big news within the tech space at the moment, Chat GPT and AI and stuff like that. Have you two come across this? Have you been playing around with it at all? How about you, Tom? Chat GPT, are you across that?
I haven't used it, but I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter of people getting it to do stuff, and it seems pretty crazy the amount of intuitive knowledge it has.
Have you tried it, Lee?
I haven't tried it, no, but it is scary where everything's going. It's the world of technology, whether it's AI or whether it's I watch do you watch John Oliver last week tonight?
No.
It's America, so British comedian, American series, but he did a whole thing on you can use AI to where you just type in a word or a phrase or a description of what you want, and it'll bring up images and all this kind of thing of and storyboards and stuff of things. And yeah, some really amusing, stuff that just
that
is just
picture, Lee,
crazy,
in the background of this this scene here, I created via AI this evening.
Wow.
I just typed in exploding poker chips, cards on a table, and it came up with that picture. It's like
Just,
copyright free. It's like, there it is. It's pretty mad, really. But I was also able to, a couple of days ago, get AI to produce a picture of a person. I gave a description, right? That picture was produced. I was able to go to another AI and get it to write a script of a short story, and to a third AI to put the two together to create a video of this person in the picture telling the story, and it all worked seamlessly.
Where's this going?
I mean,
I'm all of a sudden
insane.
I'm nervous. Yeah, and I'm like, who was this person? Yeah, just
yeah.
no,
Well,
it is.
yeah.
It's just it's a crazy. On a slightly different subject, I watched a YouTube video the other day of one of the robots. These. They're all working on the kind of the human-like robots.
Yeah.
And have you seen the video of the robot that does the takes the tools up to the guy that's working up somewhere higher, and literally is jumping, ducking through, and then does a somersault and lands, and you just think, and it looked so realistic, and you're thinking, this isn't going to be too far off. That thing where you go, oh, if you want to escape the Daleks, just go up the stairs because they can't get up there. Yeah, and it's like, so you're always going to be safe. But it's like, I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore because because the robots moving, the technology is quite frightening where they're going to go with this.
I do get a sense that the next 12 months for this sort of stuff, I don't know about the robots so much, but for that whole artificial intelligence in terms of it producing content and deep fake videos and stuff like that, I think it's just going to be.
It's going to have a massive impact on a lot of people's work, and a lot of people, and necessarily not in a good way, perhaps, because it's just going to be automated content.
Well, I think inevitably, like every other tool that comes along, there's a certain amount of craftsmanship in terms of being able to use it. So it's not as simple as just saying, give me a picture of exploding poker chips and cards. If you want the best picture, there's a lot of detail that you can put into the prompt, and there's a lot of, technical code that you can sort of write in there as well to make it better or very much more specific to what you want. So inevitably, I think the jobs will change slightly. It'll become much more about how do you use these tools in such a way to get the best out of them.
They're not going to be able to create a Doctor Who-esque video of the 12 APAT events for 2023. I'm fairly comfortable that my job is safe for a little while longer. So.
Oh, you're in trouble. You're definitely.
Yeah, no, I probably am. Luckily, I have accountancy to fall back on, because I've seen efforts at trying to use AI to sort accountancy out, and honestly, it makes a right mess.
Proper mess.
So I'm proper comfortable that actually that is always going to be a
proper mess.
I'll be able to fall back on. Yeah.
Listen, absolutely. We all know, Lee. We all know where this is going to lead to, right? Where we're going to end up on the back of all of this stuff, and we briefly mentioned it right at the end of the last show, and that was the Last of Us series, which launched last weekend.
Yeah, have you watched the first one?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely fantastic.
Tom, have you seen it yet, Tom, or not?
No, I've never seen it.
Right, okay.
Go on, Lee. Tell Tom about the background.
Well, I don't want to say too much if you watch this. If you want to watch it, so
no spoilers.
I didn't know that much about it, apart from obviously it got briefly discussed when we were in Nottingham at Poker Squads, and Jen Mason and Paul Haycock were chatting about it, because it's based on a computer game. So if you're a computer into your gaming, this is a game that is very well known by people. It's been turned into a TV series. I think it's HBO have done it. So the first one was out on Monday. So about an hour and 20, I think, the first one, and it's quite punchy to start with. There's a lot going on, and it starts sort of with a little bit about something going on in 1960, and then it jumps to early to 2003, and then something all happens which is kind of zombie-esque in 2003, and then it jumps another 20 years on, to kind of present day to what is now a cities crumbling and rationing and everybody pretty much trying to sort out what's going on with life, and so the story is going to develop from there. Really, I don't want to give too much more away because it's well worth checking out, definitely.
Yeah, must admit, I thought the first one delivered.
What platform is it on? Is it BBC or
Netflix? Sky Atlantic.
Okay,
it's on Sky Atlantic. Yeah.
So very very interesting. So I will. I ended up actually watching it twice. The first episode. So.
Did you go to YouTube and check out the reviews and stuff?
No, I haven't bothered to see, because the trouble with it is, Tom, because we say Paul filled me in with this, is that the gaming community hold this game quite close to their hearts, and so there's going to be, I think it might, I'm hoping it didn't get a lot of stick, but I'm guessing it probably has got some abuse from people that believe they've ruined it or not done it justice. Not done it justice. But I guess it's different people's take on it is it's an interesting one. But
talking about a post apocalyptic world, I went to see Peter Kay last night.
Is he still touring? Is he?
He's back. It's been like 10 years, right?
Oh, right.
Okay. He was good. I mean, again, you don't want to say too much, but it was at the O2. I mean, he's booked at the O2 I think till mid 2024.
Wow.
He sold out 2 years. They're all gone. All the tickets.
It's like Vegas, isn't it? Just in London.
Yeah. Well, the numbers would shock you, but then the numbers from his last tour 10 years ago, where apparently made something like £40 million or something.
Didn't he do a tour where he was buying a house for my mum tour or something like that once? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So he's he's very authentic. He doesn't he just talks about stuff. He doesn't go into politics or anything like that. He doesn't go deeply into anything that you might call current. But it's it's all very heartwarming. But it is 10 years on since we last saw him on tour, and I think that's noticeable. I think you can tell that he's lost just a little bit of that energy, but some of the stories are fantastic. I'll repeat one of them. It was very short. Definitely no spoiler here. He said I was very sad. His uncle, what did he say? He died from dyslexia. He choked on his own Vimto or something. in a 15-minute segue of just one line. It was just hilarious. But huge crowd there. Huge.
Oh wow, crowd. Excellent. Talking about gaming, Stu Ward's in the chat. Says another game that's been made into a series is The Witcher. I've watched The Witcher, and I think he said it's definitely it's going to keep happening. Is just tapping into a huge market, the gaming market. They can now turn into TV series and a way to go. So it's definitely going to be a thing.
I suppose people are hoping for another Game of Thrones style, The Walking Dead, big successful series that they can, watch one at a time, because that sort of stuff isn't really done very much now, is it? People tend to binge watch stuff, but this show, it happens every Monday evening. If you're going to watch it, then you're going to get that joy of watching a new episode every week. So we shall see how it rolls on.
Not a cheery one, but one we'd recorded that was on BBC, I think, over Christmas. Was a little 2-part series called Mayflies, which is about a group of Scottish guys, and it kind of covers kind of assisted dying and cancer and a group of friends. Beautifully done, little 2-parter. It's on iPlayer now. Really touching, nice, say very, very nicely done, and gives a good insight into kind of the kind of whole situation. So not necessarily a cheery one to do, but I would genuinely recommend watching it. It's very good.
Mayflies. I tell you, one that I did catch up with this week, which I'd heard about for a little while. I'd seen it sort of, it's always been there in the corner of the TV whenever you switch something on as an option. But I think it's called The White Lotus.
Yes, very good. Second season of The White Lotus.
Absolutely brilliant.
White Lotus. Hilarious. Did you watch the first series then? No?
And so I'm probably about 4 or 5 episodes into the first series.
Oh, it's very
hilarious.
good. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Would highly
White
recommend
Lotus
it.
is-
The
White Lotus is
degradation
something.
of the hotel owner is just fantastic. The manager.
It's
Brilliant.
very good indeed.
Dan is out there and saying, anybody watch Kaleidoscope? That was an
Yeah,
interesting
watch that.
premise. So
Yeah.
give it a brief summary, because I know I've
Right, so
watched an
Kaleidoscope.
episode or two, but I can't remember it.
Okay, so Kaleidoscope, heist series, and they're all parts of it are color coded. It's on Netflix. The white episode is the actual heist itself, and you watch that. I think there's 9 of them in total, and you watch that as episode 9. All the other episodes you watch in a random order, so everybody will watch them in a different, gets them in a different
Really?
order, and they're all basically different parts of the timeline. So
Yeah.
you might get a week after the heist, 3 weeks before the heist, 24 years before the heist, and you learn about the characters. So you can watch them all individually. They don't give away the heist itself, but you start learning about it. But it doesn't really matter what order you watch it in. But then everybody watches the white episode, effectively at the end, which is the actual heist taking place. Very, very good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I've made a note of that. Is there anything you're watching, Tom, at all, or are you not into your TV? You're probably out playing poker and having a laugh, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't watch as much as I used to. The last thing I watched was The Traitors, which I'm sure has been covered on here before, which is really good. I haven't watched the US version, which is now on.
That's just on now, isn't it? Is it set in the same castle that the UK version?
I don't know actually.
It looked very similar. That was.
I don't know, but that was really good. I watched the entirety of that series in 24 hours.
I enjoyed it, except I thought the ending was ridiculously produced and ruined it.
It was kind of drawn out and
the way it concluded, it forced a conclusion.
Yeah,
it wasn't a natural conclusion to it. So there was only one way that was ever going to play out. Once they decided to, once they forced another traitor in with Wilf at the end there. It was only one way it was going to play out. Yeah. So it kind of felt like, you've just manufactured that, really, which is a shame, because I'd have liked it to have naturally played out, and if he'd won it, good for him. But they were trying to force a cliffhanger, which actually was just very obvious to me.
Yeah, it sounded like that final round table. There was a lot of stuff said at that final round table that was not broadcast. It just became obvious that a lot of the surprise was taken out at that point.
Yeah, which is a shame, because up to that point, I thought it was a great great game, and it was obviously good. And obviously, Alex Gray, who was in it, is one of the WPT presenters as well. So we kind of know her in the poker world as well, with her other half, who's a magician, I believe. So.
Yeah, Dan is saying just that wasn't one of the girls in the WPT. Yeah, absolutely right. Stuart's saying my favorite TV series, The Punisher. Watched it roughly 4 million times. Haven't seen The Punisher. Sounds like a recommendation. Either of you guys, The Punisher?
No, never watched it.
No, I've heard of it. I don't remember what it is though.
I watched the Boys. I don't know whether you've seen The Boys on Prime Video. That's
like a superhero type.
Yeah, that is insane, that program. Honestly, it's
what's
nuts.
that?
Very, 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 very good. I can't even try to explain. It is proper graphic, kind of adult superhero. Yeah, just nuts. It is really, really good. I think there's 2 seasons, maybe 2 or 3 seasons of it now on Prime Video. Yeah, but I would highly recommend you will just. It's times you'll watch an episode and go, did that really just happen? But what I've just watched is very...
So not in a comedy sort of Deadpool style way. It's
no, it's kind of that kind of thing.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, Dan Williams says Boys is amazing. Stuart Ward says The Boys is so good. Yeah, so basically, that so I would highly recommend that. And if you
what the hell? I can remember when we had like 3 or 4 channels. How did we survive back then without all of this content? What happened to all of these good ideas? I mean, there must have been so much stuff that never made it past the first pitch.
But you'd be amazed the amount of times I could sit and go, I'll just find something new to watch, and then I go through about 2 or 3 of the streams. There's bloody nothing here. And the fact is, there is so much stuff on there, you just can never find what you want. You always need a recommendation. That's the best way.
I tell you what is very poorly served out there at the moment, and that's poker. There's, poker content's really dried up. There's just not a lot happening out there at all.
No, the streamers seem to have slowed down. I know a number of the streamers have decided to drop off Twitch altogether and are not feeling it for them. And I don't think we're getting much in the way of live at the moment. I think Dust Till Dawn will have a big impact
Yeah.
on that for this year, though, because as Tom mentioned, they're working on getting their new studio area built, and I think we'll get some good stuff from them. And they've got so many events happening at Dust Till Dawn this year. I mean, we said before Christmas, one of the reasons why we got our 4 events dates out to you guys early last year is because Dust Till Dawn came to us and said, we want to work with you guys, but we need to pencil these in because our weekends are already being taken up. Normally we would have we'd have been in for Super Bowl weekend for the UK team event, but basically I think it's the festival that you mentioned, Tom, is already was already in there for that, so we've had to slightly adjust that one.
And then they've got the WSOP circuit event there as well.
Yeah, that's super exciting, right? That was huge news. So I think that should be an amazing festival. They haven't announced, all of the details around the schedule, right? That isn't out yet. I think
they've said that the main event is like a 1K or a 1,500 buy-in or something, but they haven't said anything else about any other events. But it's it's a ring event, which is quite cool. Having a chance to win a WSOP ring, which for people over here is not really an opportunity.
So that is the 8th to the 20th of March. So it'll be £1,000 buy-in with a 500k guarantee main event.
I think we should look to do something at that, Lee. We should look to go up with the old camera setup and just do some fun stuff. There'll be a lot of really good players.
Well, it's pretty much going to be. I mean, what's lovely when you go on the Dust Till Dawn website, and we've obviously got our APAT logo and event holders on there, and we're up there with WSOP and the Poker News Cup and the Festival Series and and the DTD Club Championship. So it's looking great for Dust Till Dawn for the year. Plenty going on for them.
Yeah. I've got a last one on the TV front, Stu. I mean, as a chef, I'm watching Gordon Ramsay Uncharted as I'm a food nerd. I mean, Ramsay has put out a huge amount of content. He doesn't seem to ever go out of
Is
vogue.
Is that the Gordon Ramsay one where the thingy's on 3 different levels and you move, or is that something else? I've seen a food show where the restaurant is on 3 different levels, and depending on the level you're on is the ingredients, the quality of the ingredients you get. And it's like, that program you said you'd watch, Des. You said I watched that thing with it.
You're talking about platform, right?
I don't know. I watched that.
Oh, it's amazing.
That is insane.
Yeah,
right? Seriously.
That was a hell of a show, right?
You mentioned it before Christmas, I think, didn't you? So it's called The Platform. Go and find. I can't think what it was.
Jesus Christ, that is
right.
Next level. I
went and sat and watched this for an hour and a half. Yeah, I won't say any more than, but find The Platform and watch it for an hour and a half. It's a really good film. But I think a similar premise is I think it was Gordon Ramsay where basically whichever level restaurant kitchen you were in, depending on what ingredients you got, and Stu's saying no, I saw episode 1 of that, so it's a different, so this is a different thing, but he knows what I'm talking about, so I think that's a Gordon Ramsay one as well. But as you say, he's got a lot of content out anyway, so well, I mean, basically, so we've covered the football. We've let you know what's going on with poker. We've told you what to watch on TV. I mean, are we done for the week?
I think, I think unless we want to do a sort of a whip round to maybe get an APAT tank to send to Ukraine, because I think that seems to be the other thing in the news at the moment. You just need to get a tank. Yeah, just send it over. I mean, if we were sending. Hold on, Lee. There's a serious question to be had here. If we were having a whip around and we were able to buy a tank of whichever brand you might need in a situation like that, who would we put in the driver's seat, right? Who would we put that would get the ferry over to Calais in this tank, right? And then who would you trust to drive it across Europe? Stu?
I'd only want Brian Yates behind the wheel. Yeah,
get out of the way!
It'd have to be Brian, completely. But it's a sort of thing which we could easily probably make happen, because we've had a cracking year in 2022 with charity and fundraising as an organisation, supporting lots of different things that people have done. Yeah, if it was a tank for Ukraine, we could. I reckon we could do it. I really do.
All right, folks. On that note, I think we've reached our natural end of tonight's show. Tom Bacon, thank you, sir, for spending your evening with us. Do you know what we haven't done with Tom at all, Lee? We haven't asked him how the hell his poker's going tonight. He's probably there playing around in some serious games in the background. We haven't asked him. How's your evening gone on the poker front, Tom?
It's been quite a quiet one because I wasn't really planning to play too much. I'm still in the Sunday storm, so fingers crossed I can make it through another 811 people and win that.
I was going to say, bear in mind how heavy a night you had last night. I fingers crossed you can stay awake. Was what I was doing.
Well, it's these days it's a 2-day event, so it does finish at like 1:30 or something.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
It's not going to be a crazy one.
Stars have their 17th anniversary of the Sunday Million coming up soon. I'm sure I got an email on that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a big one, I'm sure.
The client.
Yeah, coming up.
Oh yeah,
in the next week or two,
7.5 billion guaranteed.
Jesus Christ.
It's on the 26th of March though, so it's quite a way away. But
okay, get it in your diaries, folks. So thanks to Tom for spending the evening with us. Thank you, Lee, as always. Great schedule, and a big kudos to Tom Brady. Do send him a note. You know, if you like what we've put out, give Tom a bell on that. Top man, put a lot of work into it. Got it out really early this year as well, which is nice to see. I think that's us. So enjoy your poker for the next 7 days, guys. Lee and I will be back next Sunday evening. We'll do it all again. And until then, ciao, ciao.